spiritual arouser. And for the Romans, that's not something good, because if you have the ability, the charisma, to have a group of people around you, you're a threat to the Roman authority. And so the Romans weren't very fond of Jesus's work. The Jews were also not very fond of Jesus. He was kind of like a hippie Jew. He was maybe a reformed Jew at the time. He saw things differently. He practiced things differently. And the Pharisees and all those Jews at that time, they also saw him as an outcast. And so Jesus was very brave to come into Jerusalem at that time. Roman period, okay? The Jews have religious freedom. So the priests can do what they want on the temple, but the bigger authority is the Roman authority. And the Romans come here in the form of direct rule. Herod died. That Jewish king that was the relationship between the Romans and the Jews dies. He killed all his charismatic kids. There's a good chance to talk about and it's great to have him on the tour, so you kind of like can get the gist of Jerusalem Central. Read about it. I won't talk about it, but you should read about it. It's not part of our culture. So when Jesus comes to Jerusalem, he's wanted. You know, you can think like, like in those Western movies where you have someone wanted. Everybody wanted to persecute him. So I like to give the political, historical context of the time, of when does Jesus come to Jerusalem. And so the temple exists in Jerusalem. He comes here probably for Passover, and he's betrayed by one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, and he's taken to a trial at Pontius Pilate. Now, if we were here 2,000 years ago, we would be like, what is Pontius Pilate doing in Jerusalem? Where would he would have been? Caesarea, right? Caesarea was the place that they really hung out. Jerusalem was, what are they doing in Jerusalem? But it's Passover, things may happen, things may bubble up, the procurator had to be here. Okay? So here's the environment. The Jews are after Jesus. Jesus is coming here because, he's coming to worship in the temple. And after he's taken to Pontius Pilate, and Pontius Pilate sentenced him to death, he goes through what is called the Via Dolorosa. And here I'd be very careful about talking about the Via Dolorosa is historically real or not. Okay? Because for Catholics, the Via Dolorosa is real. For Orthodox, the Via Dolorosa is real. For Protestants, it's not. Okay? So I would just say it's a traditional pathway from point A, where Pontius Pilate sentences Jesus to death, to point B, where he was executed. So from point A to point B, according to different traditions, he goes through 14 different stations. 5 of those stations are in the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. But we're in Jerusalem. It's a city with a temple. We know that everything that had to do with death and execution and anything that's not is outside the city. But we're inside the city. But in the second temple, right now we're outside the city. So we are outside the city. Peel off the church, peel off the building. Imagine the topography. It all nails down to the bare topography of Jerusalem. Exactly. It used to be the Golgotha. The Golgotha. Golgotha in Aramaic is a skull. Hey, you know what I'm asking? Is the head, is the skull. The Calvary. So it could be that the connotation of the people living here at the time was this was a mountain of execution. Okay, this is, and the Romans, of course, you guys know Game of Thrones, the Walk of Shame. I mean, you be careful, don't mess with us because we will execute you. And so it was like to be executed in the Roman period is a big show. So nobody rebel against the Romans. Don't mess with Texas, as they say. And so Jesus is brought over here. There's no church over here. There is a mountain, a Golgotha, and on that mountain, there was a sacrifice. Does that remind you of a story? Remember about the almost sacrifices that we have? So we have a mountain over here, a building built over a mountain. And Jesus is taken off the cross. He is anointed, probably with oils. And this is where you can talk about Mashiach. The word Mashiach comes from Shemen HaMashiach, the oil of anointment, where you kind of wipe that oil on the body of the dead people and kings. Okay, so you can talk about the word Mashiach. Mashiach translates into Greek into Christos, Christ. So here you have Mashiach, Christ. It's where you can explain all these big words in religion. You can explain it here and talk about the Mashiach. Okay, this is where you connect your story to the spot. And after he's buried, and at the time, It's Second Temple burial, okay? Know your differences between First Temple burial and Second Temple burial. It's a big question in the exam too. Where you put the body in a cave, you roll a rock over, wait a year until the flesh disintegrates, take the bones out and put them in a smaller box called the gluskema, an ossuary. And that was the style of burial back then. So after Jesus is put into his burial, which he didn't have a burial, who donated his burial to Jesus? Joseph of Arimathea. The two Marys go to visit him on Sunday. Okay, think about it. Sunday. Why is Sunday the holy day for Christians? Because that's the day that Jesus resurrected. Because when the Marys go to him and they say that there's an angel that reveals himself to them, and he said, "Why do you look for the dead where the living is?" And that's the story that takes place here. This is the story, okay? So we have the story from the Gospels that you can tell over here. It's a very interesting story for any denomination, okay? And, you know, I'm assuming that there are Christians here, and I'm telling a Christian story, and I feel awkward, to be honest. So when you're talking about other people's religions, you'll feel awkward, and that's okay. You know, every time I'm like, am I saying it right? I hope I'm saying it right. It's just Muslims teach Judaism. Am I doing this right? Or Jews teach Islam, or Christians. So I'm just bringing this to your awareness that that it feels awkward to teach other religions. Just make sure that you come with it with humility. Okay, so that's one part of the story. And also for your exam, let's say if you get on the written exam, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, what's the first thing that you write? That this is where Jesus was crucified. Okay? Don't go to the Byzantine and when it was built and when it was destroyed. Don't forget your important part of the who, why, what, when. And it's really